Hello everyone, this is Akash here. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how do you run Jenkins on a Docker containers. Okay, so let's go with the agenda. So first we'll talk about what is Jenkins and why do we use Jenkins. And then we'll be discussing about how do you install Jenkins using the Docker images. And then we will be discussing about what is the use of Docker volumes. So Docker volumes is a very essential topic in the Docker world. So we will understand about Docker volumes, and then we will be discussing about how do you bind a volume mount in a running containers, okay, or to run a container. Okay, so let's start about what is Jenkins and why do we use Jenkins. Okay, so let's go with the internet definition here. So Jenkins is an open source automation server which enables a developer around the world to reliably build, test, and deploy their software. So in simple words, Jenkins is a CI tool using which you can build, test, and deploy your application. So continuous integration is one of the most essential part of DevOps, and it is being used to integrate various DevOps stages. Okay, so if you want to know more about continuous integration, maybe you can check my previous video where I've explained what is continuous integration from scratch using a real-time scenario. Okay, so I'll probably keep the link of that video in the description below. So Jenkins is one of the most famous continuous integration tool that helps you in running all your code changes automatically in the form of a build. Okay, so this is a generic use of Jenkins. So now why do we use Jenkins? So these are the features which Jenkins provides. So again, it's a continuous integration tool. So using continuous integration, you can run all your code changes automatically in the form of a continuous build. So next you have the continuous building. So almost all the build tools supports Jenkins like Maven, Gradle, and then Node also supports Jenkins. And then you have Jenkins also supports you in delivering continuous delivery, continuous deployment. So if you want to know more about continuous deployment and delivery, you can check again my previous video where I've explained all continuous integration, continuous deployment and delivery in detail. Okay. And you can also do your continuous testing. So continuous testing is being used very widely in Jenkins. The moment your building activity is done, your deployment activity is done, you also do your continuous testing using your unit test or using your UI test or integration test. So all these activity can be part of the continuous testing. Selenium is also tightly coupled with Jenkins, and many other automation framework is being widely used with Jenkins. Okay. And then the second last feature is continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring is also one feature which is very widely used in Jenkins. So for example, we have tools like Nagios, Prometheus. All these tools, they helps you in doing your continuous monitoring, and we have plugins available in Jenkins for that. Okay. And last but not the least, we have configuration management. So configuration management helps you in managing your infrastructure. It automatically builds your configurations inside a particular agent. For example, if you have 100 of agents and you want to install certain softwares in all the agents, so you'll not be going through the manual process, right? So you do automate. So you are going to automate those activities. So configuration management tools like Puppet, Chef, Ansible helps you in doing that. So and again, all these tools are very much compatible with Jenkins. So Jenkins helps you in building all these activities. So that's the use of Jenkins, and that's the reason we use Jenkins widely as a CI tool. Now we'll be discussing about how to install Jenkins using a Docker image. Okay, so this is the official image of Jenkins. That is Jenkins/Jenkins colon latest. You can use any tags over here. Which version you want to install of Jenkins, you can use that. By default, if you don't provide anything, it will take the latest tag. And to run a Docker image, you just have to use this command, docker run -d for the daemon mode, -p is to enable the port. So by default, Jenkins is export to 8080, and we just have to map that particular port to our external port, that is 8080, or you can use any of your ports. And then you just have to provide the Jenkins image name. So let's go and find the official image. So if you just run docker Jenkins image, okay, so by default, the first option which you will get is Jenkins. Okay, so please note, don't use this particular image. It is a library which is available in the Docker Hub, and this particular Jenkins has already been deprecated from the Docker officials. So the only image you have to use is the second option, that is Jenkins/Jenkins. Okay, this is the one, this is the official image which Jenkins team supports from the Docker official site. Okay, you just have to use this one. If you go inside, you can see that how do we pull this particular image. So just run docker pull Jenkins. So we'll go to the command line. So this is my Linux environment where my Docker is installed. So you need to install Docker first before running any Docker steps and Docker commands. So Docker version, if you check, once you install Docker, Docker client and Docker engine, you will get these versions like this using the Docker version command. So if you don't know how to install Docker, I have already created a video out of it where I've explained how to install Docker from scratch. So please check that video if you don't know how to install Docker. Okay, so this is the command to pull the image. So let's pull it. So by default, I'm not giving any tag. I'm not going through any official tag. So any particular version of Jenkins. So if you want to use any particular version, you can always go for like send LTS CentOS version, or you can use any JDK 11 version. For example, if you want Jenkins along with JDK 11, so this is the version you can go for. And then if you want to have a very small version of Jenkins, this is the version, like slim version is there. Then you have Alpine also available, but Alpine is not very widely supported for the enterprise usage. And Slim is something which can be used because it is more widely supported across companies. And Alpine is used for such scenarios where you just want to go to the image and do some activities and you want to destroy that particular container. Okay, so for those scenarios, maybe you can go for Alpine, but if you want to retain your container for longer period of time, maybe you can go for Slim or some official image like Docker Jenkins latest or something. Okay, so once you do that, I'm not going to any particular version. I'll just say latest, or I'll not say anything. By default, latest will be pulled. So it is going to take some time. Probably I'll just skip this video. Yeah, so my image has been pulled now. Just run Docker images. And yeah, you can see that my image is available. The image ID is this one, and this is my image, that is Jenkins/Jenkins. So just run docker run. This is the command to run your Docker container. -D is for the daemon mode, -P. Then I'm going to enable the port as 50,000 with the 50,000 exposed port. And I'm going to enable 8080 as well. And then the image name, which has been downloaded. Okay, so you can just go here, docker logs, -F, and this is my container name, which just now created. So I'll just go to this container ID and paste it over here. So this will show me what is the current status of my Docker Jenkins installation. So at the time of installation, you will be asked to provide an initial password. So this is the password which can be used. So it says my Jenkins is up and running. So what I will do, I'll just curl my IP if config.me. If you just curl this, you will get your IP. So this is my IP here. So just paste it here and give the port. And yeah, your Jenkins is installed. So you can go over here to take the password. So in my case, my password is already here. You can also, there are several ways to do it. Either you can go inside the container, and if you go to this location, you'll get your password. I can already see my logs over here. And it says that this may also be found at this particular location. So I can just copy my password from here. So if you give this password, you can proceed with your installation. So it will tell you to customize your Jenkins with some predefined plugins, that is installed suggested plugins, or if you want to install the plugins which you want. So maybe I'll not go with the suggested plugin because it is going to install everything. I'll just select the plugins which I want. So what are the things you want? Maybe you can just see over here. So timestamper is there by default. Workspace cleaner, you might be needing some build tools, for example, and Gradle, Node.js. And then for the reporting, maybe you can just see HTML publisher. This is very much useful for your test reports. And for example, for continuous delivery pipelines, maybe you can use the pipeline plugin. And then also you can use the GitHub branch sources. So we have these things. I mean, it is already selected by default. So I'll just unselect these plugins because I may not require this one. Build timeout I might require. Credential binding for now I don't need it, but yeah, you can just use it to bind your to bind your credentials. Okay, so now that it is done, I'll just say install, and it will take some time to install all the plugins for my Jenkins to run. So now it says that create your first admin user. So I'll just say Akash, and I'll just give a password here. I'll confirm a password. So you can give any meaningful username. So I'll just give my username as Akash. My full name is Akash Kumar. I can just provide my email address and then the password, any password which you want to give. So save and continue. Okay, so this is your Jenkins URL which can be used. Save and finish. So you have already been logged in. So every time when you have to log in, you have to provide your username and password to log into Jenkins. This is for the security purposes. And your Jenkins is up and running. So this is the one, I mean, you can just go to Jenkins, you can create a build over here. Just go to new, say demo build. This is a freestyle project. Okay, just say this is a demo project. I'll not do anything. I'll just add a build step, execute cell, echo hello world, and I'll save this one. So this is just a normal simple project, simple build to just run hello world. So my build is completed, and yeah, you can see that it echo hello world. So like that, you can create multiple builds over here with all your configuration, like for example, building activity, deployment activity, your test activity, everything can be done over here. So that's how you install Jenkins. Okay. So now I'll just go back. I'll just show you that there is a drawback over here. So this, I haven't created any file system for my logs to be updated. So all this Jenkins, the job creation on all the plugins is being played somewhere inside a container. Okay, so there is no storage which I have additionally mapped to this particular container. So I'll tell you, I mean, first we will understand. So before explaining Docker volumes, I'll just tell you that how the container currently managing all the file systems, all the files inside the container. The data which is inside the container does not persist if the container gets exited, okay, or if the container doesn't exist anymore. So you can't get that data back. And also it is very difficult to get the data out of the container and use it in some other container. Okay, so a container data, that is your writable layer, is very tightly coupled to the host machine. So host machine is nothing but, so this is my machine, so this is my machine, and so the machine where my Docker engine is running, so that is my host system. Okay, and you can't easily move the data somewhere else. Okay, because your data, I mean your container writable layer is very much tightly coupled with the host machine, but you can't have that data available somewhere else like in some other containers. So writing into the container, so for example writing inside the container, so in this case for example I have this Jenkins container where every time I create a job, it is writing that data inside my Jenkins home folder. Okay, so writing any data inside the container's writable layer requires a additional storage driver. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the details of storage driver, but yeah, it requires an additional storage driver to manage the file system. Okay, and this storage driver provides a union file system that is using your own Linux kernel of the host machine. Okay, so this extra abstraction reduces the performance as compared to using the Docker volume. That is my Docker volumes. So my Docker volumes writes the data directly to the host file system. So this is the disadvantage of using the container writable layer or container internal file system. Okay. So now let's understand that how can we achieve that using Docker volumes. So as you can see, the definition over here is that volumes are the preferred mechanism for persisting data generated by and used by the Docker container. Okay, so this is the definition. So for example, let's assume that if you are using a container and if you lose that particular container, all your job configuration, that is Jenkins job configuration and the logs will be deleted. Hence, mounting that particular container to an external volume mount is very much required. Okay, so that you can at least back up and restore those data. So you can see the features, additional feature which Docker volume provides. So volumes can be easily backed up, or it can also be easily migrated. And then you can manage volume using the Docker CLI commands or the Docker APIs. So the Docker CLI commands like Docker run container and then hyphen v, using hyphen v hyphen volume or hyphen mount, you can attach any volume to any standalone containers. Okay, and then third point is that volumes can be more safely shared across multiple containers. Okay, so it is not like that you can use only one volume to one container. So you can just have one volumes and you can attach that particular volume to multiple containers. And it is very safe option to share your volume mount across multiple containers. So this is the way, this is the main advantage of using Docker volumes. So now I'll just explain how we can achieve that, mounting a additional Docker volume in a container. Okay, so if you just do Docker images, we have an image already pulled. And then if you just go to Docker PS, so this is my current container. I'll just delete this particular container. Okay, you have to use -f, this force delete. Okay, so now I don't have any container running. I'll just go to my Docker images to see my image name. Okay, now just run docker run -d -p 50,000, port 50,000, and then -p for the port 8080. And then I'll just use -v. Okay, so before using this, I'll just see what is my present working directory. So home Akash is the current present working directory. So I'll just create a Jenkins folder here. Okay, so Jenkins folder I have over here, which is used for all the Jenkins data. So all my Jenkins home data will be mounted over here in this particular location. So if you can just see the take the above command again. So the command to so the command which is used to run here is -v, then $pwd /Jenkins colon, then we have /var /Jenkins home. So this is the default directory for my Jenkins container. Okay, so by default all the Jenkins home files or data or logs will go in this particular location. Okay, so if you don't know, you can just check it online. Okay, and then you have to provide your image name. So I'll just explain it again. You have to use docker run -d for the daemon mode and -p to enable all the ports, and then -v to mount any volume. For example, in my case, this is the volume that is present working directory, that is home Akash and the Jenkins folder. Okay, this is my present working directory, and then I'm just having all the data that is there in my var Jenkins home to this particular location. Okay, and then the image name. So you just have to run this one, and yeah, your container is now up and running. So just do docker ps. Okay, so docker ps, yeah, this is my container, and it is running in both the port 8080 and 50,000. So I'll just run my curl if config.me to take my IP. And if I'll just go to the Google and search that, okay, this was already running and it is running it again. Okay, so it says so the previous installation was deleted, and yeah, this is my installation. So I'll just go to this location. This time I'll just use this one. So docker ps, I'll just go inside the container, docker exec -it for the interactive terminal, and then bin bash. So I need a bash shell to run my command. Okay, so I'm inside the container now. So just do cat and this location. Sorry, not this location, this particular location. Okay, so I can get my password here and you can paste it over here. So you just follow the same steps about how to install the plugins, and then how do you create a normal build and create like all kind of configuration. For example, build activity, deployment, testing, monitoring, any activity you can do now. So that's all for this video. That's how we manage Jenkins in a Docker container. So thanks a lot for watching the video. Please like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.